Hey, what's going on, everyone? How you guys doing today? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is Three Buck Theater, and this video is going to be one that probably won't win me many friends, but I still feel it's something worth discussing, and that has everything to do with Rotten Tomatoes. Now, if you are not familiar with Rotten Tomatoes, and quite frankly, I don't think many of you aren't, let me just quickly recap. It is an aggregate website, meaning that they approve critics. So critics then go watch content, critics then go on there, give it a fresh or a rotten review, and then of course the algorithm determines a score, and that score ultimately becomes what people market the movie as, what people discuss it as, and they base its value off of that score. And I'm not a big fan of it, to be honest with you. I think more people just need to go watch stuff rather than wait for something to come up to Rotten Tomatoes to have a plus or a minus, because we've seen in certain cases, like let's say Joker, where the woke media attacked the movie before it came out, tried to tank it in the Rotten Tomatoes score, and the thing went on to go do $1 billion. And people don't really have a lot of faith or trust in it. And when it comes to something like Birds of Prey, which is a film that I think a lot of people are going to be going to see this weekend, maybe not as many as Warner Brothers would hope. When you look at the Rotten Tomatoes score, we kind of have to start taking it into account for that high score. And I really do think that Grace Randolph here kind of pulled back the curtain. She kind of exposed the fallacy of Rotten Tomatoes. And I want to show you guys a clip from her spoiler-free review where she talks about her Rotten Tomatoes score, and then we'll look at Rotten Tomatoes in general to see what people are saying about it. But I just find it to be so telling and so interesting that I feel it warranted a conversation. So let's take a look here at what she has to say.
My problems with Birds of Prey are not simply the significant changes made to DC canon. That bothers me, but the film has plenty of its own problems as well. And we're going to discuss them. But I just want to make it clear that I wouldn't say that Birds of Prey is a bad movie, but I wouldn't say it's a good movie either. In fact, I have been struggling since I saw it as to whether or not, as a Rotten Tomatoes critic, I should give it a fresh or a rotten tomato. Because to be honest with you, I don't think it deserves either. I feel putting a rotten tomato on it is too harsh, but I feel like a fresh tomato is a bit too much of a pass. But I got to pick one, right? So what was the deciding factor? Well, I've been talking to a lot of you. Some of you have been very nice. I'll be curious to see the box office on this movie, because while there's a small contingent that's very vocal about Birds of Prey, the tracking has still been very low, and I'm curious to see how it all eventually shakes out. We'll see. But to some people, I think it's undeniable that this movie means a lot to them. And then also it's viewed as an important step, and I think this is true, in regards to who's in movies in Hollywood and who makes those movies. I think that is fair. So for that reason, I think that's enough of a tiebreaker to tip the scales to a fresh tomato. But I'm going to put in the comments that it was a real squeaker between fresh and rotten. Because, again, that's really the case.
So as we can see, she basically says that she has no real desire to give it one or the other, that she feels that she has to do it because she's a Rotten Tomatoes approved critic. The truth of the matter is, you don't have to do anything. Rotten Tomatoes doesn't pay you to put up a review. They don't comp you to go see the movie. All you do is have access to that site and get your name on that site. And that is really about it. So I find that whole little bit there to be a little bit duplicitous, right? A little bit deceptive, because she's trying to make it out to be like she's so burdened by this decision. I don't want to give it a positive. I don't want to give it a rotten. What do I do? Oh, and then I have to pick one. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything at all, like period, point blank, full stop. And that's kind of my issue with this. It makes me really wonder how much people who are Rotten Tomatoes approved critics actually care about trying to put out a good review or make their voices heard, or if they're just trying to get that Rotten Tomatoes clout, that they could get that occasional click through in order to boost their particular website or YouTube channel up. And when we talk about Rotten Tomatoes and the problems surrounding Rotten Tomatoes, I think that is a very, very, very key factor, because Grace is independently she's an independent contractor. She's self-employed. She owns her own business. She's not beholden to anyone. She's not an outlet that has to put out a review so they pop a reviewer on that particular film. She is the master of her own domain, and she's acting like she is bound and shackled to putting out a review for it. So let's take a look here at what people are saying right now. So it's like on the Birds of Prey Rotten Tomato page, we can see that it's sitting at an 86% with 148 reviews. This actually is down a little bit from 88%, which is where it was a couple hours ago, with 131 reviews. So people are definitely watching it and they're seeing it. And you can see here that it's certified fresh already before the film even comes out. Even coming down here, people seem to like it though. Although Sam Adams from Slate says for a movie that touts its protagonist emancipation, Birds of Prey still feels very much in chains. Now, a thing to continue to bring up here to point out is that when it comes to these snippets, these are reviewer submitted snippets. They go in there and they say, this is what I'm saying about it, and this is the score I'm giving it. We're either giving it a rotten or a fresh, and then I might add in my actual rating if they want to put that in there. But other than that, they want people to click on the full review. That's what they want. Now, on the main page here, we don't see we don't see Grace Randolph at all, right? We just don't. In fact, actually, and this is true. So here's what we have to do. See, 148 critical reviews. Okay, come here to the page, and then it's going to be the page 2. It's not page 2. I have to go all the way to the bottom of page 8 to find Grace's review. Now, what this basically means to me is that Grace posted this first, because she could be at this point considered the very first review, but it's buried so far into the depths of this thing that most people are not going to sit through 8 pages of these comments in order to find one that suits them. She does say here, total mixed bag. It doesn't merit a rotten or a fresh tomato, but representation is important, which just tips the scale to fresh. Now, she did admit she was going to do that, so there's no lie there. There's no deception there, and that's good. However, do you feel like she kind of needed to go and post this? Does it really matter that she went to go post this? No, because she says, I don't want to give it either in the clip that I showed you. So here she's basically putting it out there like, well, I don't want to give it either or, but there's representation. So fine, let's give it a positive review, and then be done with it. I'm sorry. I look at this and I say to myself, this is a person who is just trying to get more clicks and more views for something that they clearly don't want to do. And it just goes to show us again how Rotten Tomatoes is not good for the conversation surrounding film reviews. It's just not good. The aggregate is, I don't want to say easily gamed, because it's not when it comes to the actual critical reviews, but we've seen, look at Chappelle. Chappelle had that, what was it? I forget the name of it, but it was like, he had his last comedy special, and it was like a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes, but it was like 5 critics who did it. It was like 5 people who watched it and reviewed it. And you have other instances as well where certain movies are not given proper ratings because the reviewers, and I've talked to another Rotten Tomatoes critic who has told me that they have not reviewed content because they have not wanted to give something that was so notoriously bad a rotten score, because they didn't want to go against the woke police in Hollywood entertainment media and reviews. And that again is another problem. So when I talk about the gaming of the system here, when I talk about Rotten Tomatoes as a negative, you can look at this and just go, she says in her own words, I didn't want to give it either or, but I had to do it. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You'd have to give anything to anyone. You didn't owe Rotten Tomatoes anything, right? You don't owe them anything unless they're giving you something, in which case I would like to know what that is. I think that disclosure would be a good thing. So if you have to, Grace, which is your own words, I have to ask that question. What are you getting in return? What is it you are getting in return? Now, I would ask her directly on Twitter, but I've been blocked. And I would ask her on her live stream, but she restricts it to members only. So you have to pay her in order to talk to her. And homie, don't play that is all I'm trying to say. So I just want to make this video talk about Rotten Tomatoes is something that should absolutely positively be treated with incredulity in some aspect, right? I mean, look at the audience score. I think that is, even then, you have to purchase it through Fandango. So they weed out anyone who bought through Regal or AMC or Cinemark or Atom tickets or whatever other service there is that's not Fandango. And that's been a year now of that almost. And no one has called them out. No one has put their foot down. and said, no, are you going to be including these other apps in this audience score? No, but they're focusing all that attention to the Fandango app, which Fandango owns Rotten Tomatoes, so therefore they make more money. I cannot stress this enough, how looking at the website, looking what critics are saying and what they're doing and how they're approaching it, it can even be remotely trusted. So thank you to Grace Randolph for finally exposing that Rotten Tomatoes can't be trusted. Anyway, I want to hear you guys' thoughts on this one. Let me know down in the comments below. I know. I'm going to catch a lot of flack for this. It's not going to win me any friends. That's fine. But I take this stuff very seriously. I do. And I think if you want something better, you have to hold people's feet to the fire and want better. Anyway, not be mean about it, not be hurtful, not be whatever. Criticism, you can be critical without being mean. All right. And I think that people look at Rotten Tomatoes as being something that is infallible when it's the exact 100% effing opposite. So your thoughts, your opinions, let me know down in the comments below. If you guys want to get in on the action, you guys really can by heading over here to the newly formed reddit.com/r/3bucktheater. That was actually just created by a fan. So thank you so much for that one. So we'll be posting content on there. I will be active on there. You guys can find me. And if you want to support the channel, you can always head over to patreon.com/MattJarbo. That is a really great way to help support the channel right now, because the YouTube algorithm is terrible and it's the beginning of the year. And so the ad rates are all down. And this is weird too, because YouTube's like, we made so much more money for advertisers. And then like, but no one I know got it. Anyway, and don't forget to subscribe and all that jazz. I really like these ticking banners. Anyway, I will talk to you guys all later. Have yourself a fantastic day. Thank you for watching, and peace out.